Hands up, hands up! All the line out there. Do this. Go.
Y luego ya, cuando ya íbamos a pagar, mire cuando entraron unos hombres con pistolas disparando a toda la gente.
I know we do have injured. I don't know their status or if there's any confirmed killed. As soon as we have that information, we'll provide it, but we don't want to do anything prematurely until we have accurate facts for you.
At least 20 people were killed and more than 24 were wounded in a shooting at a Walmart in El Paso, Texas on Saturday.
Active shooter.
People took cover as armed police officers ran through Cielo Vista Mall, which is near the Walmart. Authorities say a 21-year-old white male suspect is in custody, and they are investigating if the incident was a possible hate crime.
I'm just following the lead that I've heard from the El Paso Police Department, where they say there are strong indications that this shooter wrote that manifesto and that this was inspired by his hatred of people here in this community.
Right now we have a manifesto from this individual that indicates to some degree it has a nexus to potential hate crime.
Many of those caught up in the rampage were buying back-to-school supplies. Police say the Walmart was at capacity with around 1,000 to 3,000 people in the store.
On a day that would have been a normal day for someone to leisurely go shopping, turned into one of the most deadly days in the history of Texas.
So my name's Lita Jamowski, and we're looking for my brother-in-law, Andre Anchondo. He was in the Walmart where the shooting had happened. I don't recall what he was wearing, but he's got a mustache, he's kind of dark skin, Hispanic nature, and we're still looking for him. We haven't heard word of where he is. We've been waiting at the hospitals, both hospitals where they've been dropping him off at, the Unification Center, so haven't got word. We're just trying to put the word out there if anybody's heard from him or anybody hears anything, just give us a call. We're worried. We want to make sure he's okay.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Wake Up Report. And there really isn't any other news to report on because we've had two domestic terrorist shootings within a week between the two of them. The first one at the Garlic Festival about a week ago, and with this current one, an absolute massacre at an El Paso shopping center and a Walmart. And the shooters fit the typical MO of a domestic terrorist, white boys, in their 20s, who are pissed off because the world isn't going their way, and they choose to express themselves by getting AK-47s or some kind of assault rifle and unloading on groups of people in shopping centers, schools, and garlic festivals, football games, and what have you. And for those of you white males out there who are going to be offended by what I just said, I talk about blacks all the time and their idiotic behavior. You are no different when it comes to doing your brand of violence and self-destruction. Now, believe it or not, I was all set to do a show on Donald Trump, and to your surprise, the defending of Donald Trump and his remarks when it came to his absolute unloading on Baltimore and that crime-ridden hellhole of violence and self-destruction that blacks seem to just wallow in. And I guess I'll do it anyway, because this story does not make what he said untrue. This story is just a reminder, very painful reminder, as to just how dangerous Donald Trump is, not necessarily a physical danger, but all of the rhetoric, all of the xenophobia, all of the racism that he built his entire campaign on, that he ran or is currently running his presidency under. Everybody who supports every and anything that this man talks about relative to immigration and Mexicans and the so-called influx of illegal immigrations. A lot of that according to the manifesto that they found that this guy wrote, a lot of his anger or the motivation for this shooting was the fact that he felt that America was being taken over by Mexicans, and Texas, under the Mexican influx of immigrants, was going to become a democratic state. And pretty much what that means is that white males will no longer hold the or have the power that they hold relative to politics and things like that. So the only way that he can express himself is to go out and try to mow down as many Mexicans as he can, as if killing 20 people and wounding, I think it was 26 others, as if that's going to stop anything from happening. Now, he did turn himself in, so maybe we will get to hear firsthand from him why he did what he did and the reasoning and the rationale behind it. I mean, they've got the manifesto, but I would like to hear it come out of his mouth, why you did what you did, and then we'll execute your ass, basically, because what you are is a terrorist. You committed a terrorist act. You committed a violent terrorist act on a group of people. And as far as I'm concerned, if this were an Arab, or if this were somebody from the Arab region, we'd be hollering terrorism. We'd be hollering terrorism. We'd be hollering kill the terrorist. So anybody else that participates in terrorist behavior, they should be executed the same way. The Arab and Muslim terrorists, they do what they do because they said Allah instructed them to do it, and they'll get a reward for blowing up buildings and blowing up buses and, killing mass groups of people. What was your motivation, sir, for doing what you did? What's your reward going to be? But all this mess is Donald Trump's fault. He has given license to people, and they feel that because he gets on television and throughout his campaign stops and his rallies, just spouts all this racist mess, that they are simply a reflection of him. And if the president of the United States can be a racist, and that's exactly what he is, well, I can be a racist too, and I can show my racism just like he shows his racism. So all of this send her back and go back to where you come from, get out of this country, and all of this mess. And this is mostly white people that do this. White people, I might add, who are not from the United States, who are not indigenous to the United States of America. It is quite ironic that this guy says he wants to protect Texas from the influx of Mexicans, when I've said this before, Texas is Mexico. Arizona is Mexico. Los Angeles is Mexico. If anybody is a influx or an immigrant, it's Europeans who came here from Europe and other European regions. And you have the nerve, that's what kills me. You have the absolute nerve to talk to other groups of people as if they don't belong here, people of color, telling them to go back. Where, if you're that pissed off, why don't you go back where you come from, as opposed to trying to stay where you currently are and shape it to fit your distorted views of world history? And that's exactly what this is. It's like, white people have had the convenience of not having to care about the rest of the world. Everything is wrapped up in how they view the world. And if it's from a Eurocentric perspective, that's all they care about. In the meantime, the rest of the world, the other 90% of the world, as that starts to close in on you, your xenophobia, your racism, your utter fear that you have manufactured about other groups of people who don't look like you, starts to come to a head. And this is the result of that. Already, what was the Tiki Torch guys a couple of years ago, and all this mess, all of this stuff is Donald Trump's fault. And the best he can do is issue that lame Twitter response of our thoughts and our prayers. That our thoughts and prayers are so played out, it ain't even funny. Now he talks about the horrific violence and blah, blah, blah. You caused all this stuff. And you conveniently get to throw rocks and hide your hand. And all of the people who support you, it's not racist talk that he talks. It's tough talk. That's what white folks say. You know good and doggone well, if it were Obama, and Obama told white people, go back where you come from if you don't like it here, you'd be up in arms, calling him a racist, calling him all kinds, well, calling him, in addition to the names you call him anyway, calling him all kinds of names. So you know you're just a bunch of hypocrites. It's impossible to have this discussion with somebody who has such a narrow perspective of the world. That's the unfortunate byproduct of racism, is that it exists in its own little myopia and at the exclusion of everything else. So it's as if you pull the blinders off and now you see a whole world of people that don't look like you. You don't know how to act. You know, nobody, I mean, I'm not saying that other groups of people, just because they have color on their skin, don't have beefs and skirmishes with each other, because that'd be a lie. But white people don't, by and large, plenty of decent white people out there, Europeans, I should say, because, European and white are two different things, actually. White people just don't get along. Well, why are you so afraid of people who don't look like you? I could go to Japan, I could go to India, I could go wherever it is. I go to rainforest. When I see another human being, I don't freak out, go crazy because the person doesn't look like me. It's a human being that doesn't look like me, but it's a human being. White people freaking hit the ceiling. It's, you cannot, for whatever reason, and that's what, we never sit down, and we'll probably never sit down and discuss race, the effect of race, just this racial poisoning of people's minds that have you react like this simply because somebody that doesn't look like you moves into an area or dominates an area. It's the same thing that's going on in Israel too, with Netanyahu and his racist ass, because he's a racist too, a Zionist and a racist. So you take the same racist, xenophobic attitude wherever white people go, this problem exists. That's not because I want it to be like that. That's the absolute truth. And the problem is we can't talk about it. I'm not saying white people are evil for good, and that's it. But call it like it is. Let's talk about it like it is. If I can talk about black folks and their idiotic, moronic, ghetto behavior, why can't white folks sit down and talk about this racism that they have manufactured and created and the results of what you have done and the damage that is causing, and what can we do to undo it? That's how it's a problem. It's a pervasive problem, and we need to fix this pervasive problem. And it's not going to go away by banning guns, because now you got Democrats now jumping back on the ban the assault rifle train, and that's not going to solve this problem. This is a problem that has to be solved internally, with your mind, with yourself, with your conscience, with your heart. We cannot continue to say, in God we trust, one nation under God, our thoughts and our prayers, God be with you, when we indulge in some of the most violent, hypocritical, ungodly behavior that there is. The sins of the fathers shall be inherited by their sons. And the unfortunate part about it is now the sons are armed with AKs. This is KTM and the Wake Up Report saying, think a little bit. It will do wonders for you.